everybody. This is Lewis with Advocacy for Neuro Rights, and we got Marie, the secretary of the nonprofit. We're gonna do a video today to talk about some topics for our video for you and pertaining to what we do, who we are, and our client services, and what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. So, for for our nonprofit, we try to help people through certain aspects of toxins, nanotechnologies, and even smart chips, which are identified as implants or things of that nature that might be considered HIPAA violations or international violations, uh, however you define it. But these are some of the things that pertains to our mission and what we're after and what we're trying to do and trying to help people with because of the data systems and how things are gathered today and have been for quite some time, has allowed many corporations, any entity that's out there to gather data without full informed consent for individuals. So without any further ado, we're going to go into some topics. Marie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. Hi, my name's Maria Smith. I'm the Secretary of Advocacy for Neuro Rights. I joined Lewis in his nonprofit, I want to say almost from the beginning, was it like 4 years ago?
Um, well, since 2023, for this particular nonprofit, yeah, since
So
2023.
almost 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, I believe in what he's trying to do and trying to find these victims resources, help, clarification of what they're experiencing, and to verify that they are being in the devices and being harmed and different ways of how we're being neurohuman trafficked and being physically assaulted with these devices and trying to find remedies, medical remedies, or medical research um, that will back their claims instead of throwing them out of the hospital or declaring that they're mentally ill. So
yeah.
I 100% support Lewis in his advocacy.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of the research that we've done, even from the 1990s, from the early 80s, what we found was is that most of the biotech and the brain initiative programs and all the brain projects all derive from under the guise of mental illness and toxins and biotechnologies and behavioral research. So a lot of people have complained about symptoms over the years. And, when it comes to data statistics and bioinformatics and all these other areas that contribute to biodata, neurological data, neurological behavioral studies, programs, and funding on top of that, because it is neuro and biological funding is one of those larger aspects of research where AI and human match together. And that's been the whole process of the program. So, and to stay on our reign, to stay on topics, we want to go into neural ethics. Marie, would you like to talk about neural ethics for a moment?
Oh, absolutely. So this technology is clearly not going anywhere. Um, a lot of the victims have been experimented on, mainly to map out the human consciousness in their brain. So every thought, emotion, and actions is altered, recorded, or put on blast. So the fact that this technology isn't going anywhere, we assumed 100% that the number of victims would climb. Um, Having the most invasive surveillance technology ever, since your brain has no firewall, there's no defense mechanism from it. And since it could be done remotely, any handheld device, any computer, anything that can access your bioresidency, you're being violated. So your personal conscience, your thoughts and emotions, it might not be something you act out on, but it could be something that you just glanced or thought of or could easily be manipulated by frequencies, which a lot of victims are experiencing. Now, your brain is your most vital organ in your whole body. It's the most important organ. Without it, the rest of your body can't function or communicate with each other. Every molecule communicates with your brain, which is like per se a computer. So if it's hackable or it can be controlled by another human operator, you don't know if it's your own consciousness, your own free will, your own freedom of thought, or if it's somebody else controlling that.
Yeah. And so with that, we're going to go into this article right here that was put out. Let me share my screen. Boom. And let's see. And we're just going to share, go here. First, we're going to go here. So this is a recent article that was, since Marie just mentioned all that, and I had this article pulled out because this is basically contributes to a lot of our work, is getting these bioresonance protected and, from anything, any application that's used or downloadable, and especially from research facilities or somewhere in a distance outside the United States, inside the United States, anywhere. So that, those systems can contribute to a lot of powerful data gathering, including the frequencies, because it's medical frequencies and this stuff isn't new. It's pretty common and pretty average for people to have medical implants and things because of but the FCC, and I don't want to jump around, but the FCC has, via does have guidelines for the amount of usage and power of those frequencies. However, under the guise of, the continuation of human research and development processes, they pretty much, I mean, on a statistic, they've been allowed to do what they want. Wherever all this derives from, the origins of it, which is still unidentified, completely unknown, where certain aspects of populations become under research for brain and neural, physiological data gathering systems or data gathering for statistics and bioresonance and all this other stuff. But anyway, that's a major part of our mission and our course. But James Giordano, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's part of the bioethics. He's part of Georgetown University, also the Department of Defense. And what this article goes into, and I will skip down, goes into is mainly about toxins and toxicity, neurotoxins. Also, what we're after is because we're a nonprofit, we're impending 501(c)(3) status. We educate the public on some of these aspects, people that may not know that bio research has been a uh, major aspect of our country here in America and places around the world for many years. And people have been researched on unethically without guidelines, even though we have like the Helsinki Declaration. We have, the IRB that has resolutions for certain aspects of human protection safety guidelines. There's many different departments in America, including that's under the Health and Human Services to promote the better human subject uh, aspects of protecting human nature and their dignity and social well-being. However, in some cases, um, you know, that's not going to happen because research is research and latency. But if I guess coming from our standpoint, and this nonprofit particularly, is that we try to help people become more known because of the research and data collections that's been enabled. Not only that, but the toxins, because that's another major aspect, and graphene, all these other places that people like to go and research. We're actually in the business trying to help and promote this stuff and get people the help that they need because, nobody asked for this and no one directly has a right to suggest or say that we can put you on our program, without consent. If not, it's a biological threat at that point.
Well, I agree, and I think it's another form of medical abuse too, the fact that these victims are being experimented on and having these toxins introduced into the body to physically cause harm. I mean, it's once you have sensors or tracking devices put into it. And throughout history, I mean, it's a known effort that anytime you're in implanted with a foreign body, it's not for intentionally to do good, it's intentionally to do harm. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of this is coming about because a lot of victims are complaining about being harmed medically, physically
Yeah,
by
and
these
that's the
devices.
part, yeah, exactly. And that's our daily routine is working with victims because through our data that we gather on our own, through our advocacy is people are subjected, people are being victimized, people are going through all these things, experiences, which falls up under a lot of guidelines for the mental illness, and people get shoved into a box without real, real help. So, because of the, like the Brain Initiative projects and all these earlier projects, it's all up under the guise of mental illness. And they always talk about this is for mental disease, mental illness. So if you complain about something that you're going through, then they're going to define you as mentally ill because that's what it's all up under. The medical research, neurological research, and some parts of the biological research is all up under mental illness. So, and
Right, and they're not looking
behavioral studies.
into what's causing those issues and those symptoms with the
Yeah, well, that's the part that they wouldn't know is, the people that would search for help, like us. We try to be the help. We try to enact a lot of help and needs for people that need it. So our nonprofit goes into all this stuff. And, regardless of the origins, which isn't identified all the way, like it states here in this article by James G. O'Donnell, it states, there are some parts that are not recognized as far as the origins of the technologies and the the uh, the technologies and all the toxins and everything that's collided with our service and the things that we're trying to get out. It's just there's an origin there that doesn't compute. And much less that there's not really a big database for this, even though I believe that there is a database because, I mean, they have, government monitoring systems that can monitor all this data, biological threats, everything that's out there. And there's no way that they can have a database on every single thing. But in my
right.
opinion, where once it first started is that they do have a database on a lot of stuff because of the research that we have. All this started somewhere. There's a manufacturer somewhere. There's a database somewhere. There's a person holding all the keys and the information to somewhere. So, let me go back to my share screen right quick. And so what this article goes into is there's a couple of lines I want to mention. It is, oh, here we go. So some of the things that we talk about and what we try to present to the public is what it states here in this article is covert cyber biotechnological convergence, whereby AI systems are developed or direct biological experimentation renders traditional deterrence doctrine outdated. So, and deterring a faceless, digitally diversified, plausibly deniable actor requires new forms of attribution, signal, and interdiction. Mainly what they're saying is a lot of the old systems don't work like they used to. Now it's more up to date, it's more remote. We stated that in video earlier, and a lot of this stuff, like biological research, is remote direct biological experimentation. And also the weaponized biology, that's another important key term right there. It's weaponized biology. So that either that's pathogens, that's in the peptides, neurotoxins, metals, and mycotoxins is one of the biggest ones as well. We can go a deep dive into that, but we have to keep our video at a limit. But a lot of these
Right,
key areas that we try to get
which connects
information
back into
for,
the weaponized.
say that again?
What you re-elaborate on the weaponized is still fully intent to cause somebody harm. That's what weaponize is to actually fully cause these victims harm,
Yeah,
to
that's
re-elaborate.
exactly. It's harmful and there's no guidelines to protect people from this exact initiative because big data from the 90s was able to collect mountains of data and continue on through that. under another guise of the needs of medical research for the populations. So, I mean, I've stated this in a couple of my other videos, but are we really going to hurt people? Are those guys that are out there doing the data collections and the research monitoring for all this and what they're doing, are they really going to hurt people to gather data to build a better population for people medically? I don't think so. I mean, these are weaponized technologies that can be used on a population everywhere, and you wouldn't even know that you had them. So you could have signal frequencies all around you and collecting all this information on you. And while they're collecting information, they can manipulate your brain, totally change your reform your cognitive who you are, your cognition, totally redirect it, rearrange it, create a whole new person. You wouldn't even know it. And that's part of the neuro rights is protecting your neural identity, protecting your brain from being manipulated, such as like how the United Nations created a few reports on this and how the brain can be manipulated through diverse technologies and external technologies while being internalized through the nanotechnologies. These things are becoming at large, and we want to incorporate more of our business, our nonprofit, into heavy areas where we can promote this stuff and be totally anti and biased against it. Non-bias for the human population, bias towards what's occurring through the technologies. All right, so let's move on. And that was basically
You gotta, sorry.
what?
You gotta also think of it the fact that it's also stealing from another individual. Because if they had some great invention or a great ideal, whoever is remotely viewing them is going to have access to that before that person gets an opportunity to put their invention or creativity into action, or holding them from being able to be an entrepreneur or being able to be successful in whatever they try, because now you got another person. They might think it's a great idea and start putting it in action that might have a little more money than the person that actually came up with the ideal and the invention. So I mean, it's stealing in multiple ways. I mean, these are our cognitive liberties. So I mean, if a person has an ideal to excel in college, they could easily manipulate them to where they would fail in every class. Or if they were going to work, imagine everybody in your workplace having access to everything that you're thinking, everything that you're feeling, everything that you're doing. How would that affect your job or your school or anything else? So it goes in a larger aspect socially on how this could easily affect people.
Yeah, social control. That
Right.
would be considered as social control. So, and that's part of the technologies, what they're capable of doing is controlling the masses, and they wouldn't even really even know it. So, like data is large. Large collecting data is very big. Census information, it's huge what they do with data and how they get away with it through these policies that they have where they can just research any individual that they want under the guise of medical needs and, population reform, of course, but, it allows them to do whatever they want because it's an organization or a business or a corporate entity that can use all these areas to do whatever they want with their data and how they get it out there. So much like private hospitals, private investors, a lot of people would spend a lot of money on this information to gather it, whether if it's sold in the United States or sold overseas, it's still manufacturing more product and nanotechnologies and neurological technologies and medical technologies and even, like other different type of revisions that would, enact on the brain, like quantum AI or neuromorphic chips, all this stuff they gather data for because it's expensive. So, I mean, if they were to have a clinical study for every person that they were doing this illegally to, if they did it legally, it would be expensive. It would expose a lot of detail, and it would get out too much. And that's part of what we're trying to do with our advocacy is put up a wall against these entities that have done this to populations around the world, and it is consistent. It does happen around the world, and we want to stop that. At least get the information out there enough and try to get people help. The forces may be, but they will try to roll over everything. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of different agencies out there that try to help put up legal frameworks and try to build up walls around this whole bioethic problem, this issue that's going on all around the world. But they're the least amount of funded organizations that try to do this. And knowing that there's a lot of different agencies out there that try to do these frameworks and they're just not funded because of the influence that politicians have, the influence that, corporations have. They just roll over human rights and they push you aside and they don't care. Okay. So, but with that, it's just interesting how that prevails, this prevalent era of dominance and microorganisms and technologies that are allowed to, develop inside of your body and just manifest a data gathering system. All right, so
Not only gathering, I mean, imagine what these actually do to the human body over a long period of time. A lot is such a research development area. Nobody knows what it's going to actually do to somebody after a long period of time. And with this nanotechnology that's self-assembly and self-replicating and mutating your own DNA, what's the long-term effects of, considering that are you transhuman, human, cyborgization? What else is it going to do? I mean, a lot of metals in your body with these EMPs and radio frequencies and Wi-Fi towers, electromagnetic field, all these devices. What is the new health epidemic that might pop up over this stuff?
yeah, this stuff is becoming widely known. I mean, when you talk about the internet, like 5G, for example, 5G is known to be the product of being able to utilize technologies and such as medical devices and whatnot. So, and it was known to be made that way, known to being able to intercept biotechnologies at any given time because of the low medium frequency that it runs on. It's able to move in through your house and then enable Bluetooth connections and signaling interjections and all this stuff that communicates between the wireless internet and the devices and the human body coding system and the operating stations that collect all the data and manipulate. So, and that becomes, a wide range of other varieties and issues is, the data systems, the operating systems, the everything, the 5G, the internet, all this stuff. And they make 5G sound like it's a conspiracy. 5G is everywhere. It's not a conspiracy. It's
No,
actually in your front yard. It's in your house. It's in your room. Now it's messing with your body. Okay. So,
and now who else other than the government or medical facilities that might get their hands on this technology and utilize it for their own benefit or gain, like your criminal networks,
yeah. Well, that's what
then
we
it goes
call
into a whole new
actors and
ball
state
game
actors.
with no regulations.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm?
because of the technologies and how they've become so far more advanced, at least we say that they're advanced. However, they have updated over the past couple of years, but there's no laws pertaining to all this, even though if you just go down to the ground basics of the laws, we have HIPAA that states all this stuff. We have foreign governance policies that are supposed to protect us. However, any country can do whatever they want. They don't have to follow U.S. guidelines and U.S. laws if they're enabled and allowed to discredit a population or discredit an individual or a corporation that's trying to help people. But it's an easy subject to discredit because of the how it functions and how everything's crafted like it's science fiction and it's all alien stuff. So, but anyway, it's manufactured in facilities and it's medical research that's been going on for years. It's not conspiracy to say that people have authorized medical devices, but with even authorized medical devices, those devices can also be unauthorized in people's bodies and gather the same amount of data and stimulate particular nerves without consent. All right, so one of our
Now,
biggest
currently, if they're
efforts,
doing it to all the adults,
yeah, and through all the yeah to the adults and even children on top of that, and that
and
becomes
how
another
does, yeah,
issue is that children are allowed, or they're allowing children to be induced by this stuff. And I mean, how are they going to allow, people to be violated from, I mean, you can't have your own family at home anymore without someone researching on you or spying on you without these technologies, because what they do is they are able to spy on you. It's been used since the Cold War. It's core type stuff it lasted for years, and now it's medical research and all this other stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's open news. It's everywhere. But our client advocacy tries to help people through it and try to get them the things that they need, places where they need to go. And we try to get them some at least some judicial help if we can find it. Um, but the legal frameworks and stuff, the ethics, the bioethics, all this stuff, the laws, the guidelines, everything, this is what we're trying to build up in nature because this is our grassroots business. It's been in operation for quite some time. And and these data-driven aspects and this infrastructure that's just collecting data on a multifaceted ways, that's insane what they're doing today and what they've been doing. But it's insane how far it's come and how vast it is, turning people into victims of, data classifications and experimenting on populations remotely, just like it said in the article, for biological research. It's AI-enabled, you know, systems that can leverage information from your body and your brain. So, that's how what they call neuro data, biological data. Yeah,
that's the best part about this organization because that's one thing that we have been trying to do is accumulate the multitude of resources. One where they could go and verify that they're experiencing the symptomologies, but having the research to back it up and saying this could be a possible explanation for your experiences, but being able to give them resources to where they could go and verify it and hopefully one day help get the funding that will help get them the funding to be able to obtain utilize the resources to verify what they're experiencing. So when they're going through some of these symptomologies, especially for the newer generations that's going to be falling victimized by this technology, they'll have somewhere where they could reach out to other victims, other advocacies, and other resources to seek the help through their experiences.
yeah,
And there's no telling if we could ever get to the state where we could actually get laws passed to regulate this on who's being able to utilize this technology and what information they're gathering, because a lot of us don't know how much information they gathered, like your private information, your bank cards, your PIN codes, your email addresses, your location. For predators, it's easy to find your location with biosensors already in your body with no regulations or somebody to monitor how to block those locations.
absolutely. It's
So,
like it's almost like in human trafficking, they implant their victims that they've captured. And if they get away, they can track them through implantations and RFID chips, is tracking chips that can follow them, monitor them everywhere. So it's really no different between being subjected for research and human traffic and being monitored and tracked everywhere you go. So I mean, which is easily done. People can do this type stuff and it happens every day. Cyber surveillance is one of those things that have gone down way past the video camera. Now it's down into your mind and your body and your GPS, your location, where you are. So you
the
never
audio
get away.
video nanotechnology, yeah. And that's where we're trying to get a lot of it, because now you're a walking surveillance camera. Not only are they seeing everything through your own eyes, but they're hearing everything from your ears. They're able to speak through your mouth. I mean, you're like a walking human surveillance camera. And that's where a lot of this research is coming into, how do you turn it on and off, or who has access to turn it on and off?
Yeah, a person could be a surveillance camera because of the neural monitoring that's being conducted on the individual. And we've heard thousands of testimonies, hundreds of victims, and it's always the same, and now, more relevancy is coming out today where we're able to, actually take a stab more in depth towards our abilities and what we know so far and moving on, with our advocacy and trying to help people because of what they can do by stimulating the nerves of the mind, the optical nerves. They can penetrate, perpetrate, get in there, and basically audio feed everything and visual. So it's applicable because of, the things that they can do today. It's all over the internet. They can do all these things, and victim testimonies are very important because and these types of testimonies from people, the victims, have been thrown off for so long that we cannot allow another victim's testimony to be pushed out the window, not without being heard by the right people, the right organizations, and the right advocacy and the right type of governance over these populations. And we're not talking about specifically about any government. We're talking about the right kind of governance that we need in America and around the world today, and the people that promote better health for human beings, not just gaining billions of dollars from corporations because it fills up your pockets. No, we have human rights issues, and we are a human rights organization, a neuro rights organization. We want to prompt and promote all these things for our population. So, and that's, people that are victimized by these utensils that they use for bioethics or bio research and technologies. So, one of our biggest aspects through our client advocacy is, confidentiality is important. If you ever consider wanting to join with us and be a client, or you need to talk to someone, or we need to, you need guidance, we can try to help you do that. Whether you think you have toxins in your body, or if you feel sick in some ways. We're, in disclaimer, we're not a medical or legal organization, but we do advocate for people, and we try to make recommendations, and based off our data, what we know so far is sending them to the right places, and also respecting the autonomy of every client. Let them decide what they want to do. If they want to go forward with the protocols that we've suggested, that we've come up with, and the things that we said, then it protects us and protects the client because we're not a medical facility or a legal organization. However, we do advocate for people and try to give them the guidance that they need to move forward to the areas that they need based off our research and what we know so far. So, and these are
And it
all
does
new
help.
uncharted territories that we want to keep, creating protocols for. Yeah.
What we have noticed, it does help the victims when they got some sort of verification that they're not going crazy. So the resources that we like to share out with people is giving them clarification and helping, it's not all the pieces of the puzzles, but it's steps to the puzzles to verify their experiences, because a lot of them will fall into depression or any other mental illness, lose their job, not function properly, think that they're going crazy, that there's something wrong with them. So, being able to obtain a little bit of evidence through some of our experts gives them a little
Yeah,
mental relief as well.
absolutely. When a person is being researched for bio research and neurological research and all these other aspects, that would drive a person crazy because of the invasiveness of the technologies and what they're doing. They're literally invading your mind, gathering information from you and collecting it without your consent. It's like being a crop.
Trying to brainwash you
It's
into
like it's like
believing
being a crop.
something.
Say you're it's like farming. It's like you're a crop and they're only there to grow you and take your patterns and chop off the top part of the crop and steal it and take off and sell it. It's like farming, data farming. And it's
Groom
crazy
you
how
into
they've done this,
something
how they've
else they want you to
manufactured
be.
society to be just, taken like this. So in those cases, because I can tell you testimonies here everywhere. So And but we want to be the advocacy. We want to be able to be the ones to reduce all this stuff because from our perspective and the things that we've done in the past, nobody's going to do it but the advocates. And that's really about it. And that's how it's been so far is getting people help and treatment that they need while the government's uh, influence and the just you know, and that's how it is. And that, but our nonprofit, we try to help. We try to do the things we can. We do pay for clients. We try to make it a free resource. We also accept donations. If you can donate, it helps our cause. But our climate advocacy is really, really, really well in how we proceed with it and how we try to get people the things that they need and whatever it is. So, and protecting neural rights is something that we want to do because it is a human right. It's part of your biological, your neurological, your physical self, your inner being, your thinking processing, what your thoughts are. You don't want your thoughts manipulated. You want to control your own autonomy and thinking. You want your own. So, and to build ethical systems would be getting this alleviated from people's lives and having it totally removed completely of what these people have done with bio research and neurological research. So, and with that, that's a very empowering moment is to know that you are an advocacy unit, an organization here to promote better health, social well-being, and applying ethics and confidentiality and concern. So, and those are the things that we lack in society today is concern. So, and to be the total opposite, we want to promote all the better health for people that have these problems, even if you don't have problems that, you know, which a lot of doctors say is that a lot of people today have nano particulates, they have nano reading sensors, and
Metal
biotech is
toxicity.
it's everywhere. So, and with that, we want to open up like a reform to get this stuff away from people, out of people's bodies because it doesn't belong there. So, and we want to empower vulnerable populations to this, and that's basically almost every climate, every demograph, every location because of the how it's proposed and how it's crafted, and how these individuals, these corporate entities are putting this stuff all out there. There are law cases that state, where different populations have ingested, chemicalized water that contain nanomaterials and such. And that was, that's what they call nanotechnology law, which derives from a lot of different areas. But there are cases that are out there that talk about this, that go into the details of nanotechnologies that have ended up in people's bodies from tech companies and without consent. They released it, it ended up in people's bodies. They found it and they sued the companies that were doing this to them. And that's a real deal.
Well, some of this nanotechnology genetically modifies and mutates the human DNA as well, or the environmental aspect, which we're looking into as well on how does this affect our environment altogether.
Yeah. Not yeah, exactly. And how it operates in those areas, that's and now it's time to start controlling the ones that are trying to control us. Now it's time to take back what we lost as society and humanity because of what they've done. So, and power can be a good thing, but power can be overpower can be a bad thing, and no one is going to
Well,
control anybody.
unfortunately, it was our ignorance because we weren't aware of what was going on, and then we're not knowledgeable or educated enough on it to realize, just like most people think, if it's not affecting us negatively, why would we care? Well, until you fall victimized by this technology, you're not going to care. I mean, and the fact that this is all in our environment, if we don't take care of it now and have rules and guidelines about it now, imagine where it's going to be at 10 years from now. So, longevity wise, you are going to care. You might not fully care about it now as you're watching all these other victims or all these other symptomologies or people getting sick by it. But later on, you could fall victimized because it's in the whole entire environment.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So,
They
mhm.
they openly state that they release nanotechnologies in the air to monitor toxins on the ground. You know, and they want to push for more technologies. They want this stuff everywhere in the public, just like it is right now. It's everywhere. And what most people complain about
And
through
a
advocacy,
lot of this,
hold on, what most people t
and a
complain
lot
about
of this tech,
throughout our advocacy is that they believe that they have nanomaterials inside their body that's doing things to them they didn't ask for. So this becomes like a CDC issue, a climate issue, an environmental issue. We have technologies everywhere just running rampant, and nobody cares about what happens. Nobody cares about the waves that are going to roll over and do some real damage. Nobody's going to care. So, I
right?
mean,
This
until it does
technology is so
affect certain
covertly.
populations. Yeah.
Yeah, this technology is so covertly, excuse me, that you don't know it's actually administrated in your body. And then, the symptomologies and what they're capable of doing. I mean, they can keep people underneath this technology without them even knowing it. I mean, if we're not out there educating people about it and getting awareness out there, nobody would be educated on it because, like I said, like Lewis explained, you're inhaling it, you're eating it, you're drinking it. You don't know it was actually administrated into your body until all of a sudden you're suffering these symptomologies and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so convert that most people don't know it was already placed in their bodies until it's way too late.
Yeah. And it can be too late. Um, it's a biological threat. It's a biological weapon, what they've done with the nanotech. It can be a very devastating crisis in society and humanity, and not putting something out there for something like this of this magnitude, this nature, that's crazy, and that tells you that tells us that there's a lot of corruptness that's out there, and it's just allowed to run rampant through anywhere they want to go because of the actions that causes is caused by these technologies and what they can do. Is that let me pull up this quick article right quick. This piece. Hold on one second. So, if this stuff is running rampant and it's a biological threat, and that's what hold on one second. Let me pull this up. Let me see. Yeah. The Center for Combating Terrorism at West Point. So what they recognize it is a biological weapon. So what you see here is your pathogen that's engineered, it's an unnatural biological weapon, which means it was probably manufactured and it's synthetic biology, the threat of synthetic biology. And this is an article that came out in 2020, so this is nothing new. People know about this, but there's no advocacy, no guidelines, nothing to protect people. So, I mean, if this stuff is running rampant and if it's in your DNA, if it's in the technology, if it's weaponized and used
Nobody's
one all
arguing it
together, then the
out.
impacts on your life with this is gonna run over because they're stating all this stuff, but hospitals are not doing anything for it. Doctors are not surely not doing anything for it. So
Well, I
what do
mean,
we
if
do?
nobody's asking questions and nobody's, you know, wanting to know the full aspect of it, I mean, the main thing is being able to ask questions and getting full disclosure on the full capabilities of what this nanotechnologies are doing or how it's being administrated to a lot of these people. Why is it being administrated? What can they expect out of it? I mean, so, I mean, mainly asking questions like, why are you doing this? Are these why are these being developed? I mean, as most people know, it's not the weapon that actually kills people, it's people utilizing those weapons that kill them.
Hmm.
And the fact that nobody's asking questions, what's in it, why are they making it, why are they administrating this to the people, is just really, really concerning.
Yeah, it's
Who
it's really
gave them the
bad. It is
authority?
concerning because of
Yeah.
how okay, so let's say for example that people have been complaining about being used for this stuff for years. And then we have articles like this that come out. And then, it talks about the CDC, it talks about lots of other people, areas, and still it's like, it just continues on and, nobody cares about
What
patient
form of
rights, nobody cares about the medical rights of a person,
what
and
form of protection do they have,
none,
to
none.
make a choice? Where did their choices come about? Who made the decision that they could steal someone else's medical rights or cognitive rights or the neuro data or bio rights? I mean, this is getting really concerned. Who's there to force the people that's manufacturing these and administrating this from stealing another human being's rights?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Well, yeah, even if
what's actually in the nanotechnology
yeah.
itself.
See, it says
You know,
self-generating properties and the ease of creating binary weapon, allowing safe production and assembly. It's safe for them because these organizations, these businesses, they get insurance from themselves. Okay. They collect insurance from themselves and they're insured throughout their business. And it's true, you can look it up, is that if they damage people from their research and the things that they release, they're covered by the insurance. They don't care about the populations. These corporations care about their own well-being and making more money so that they're protected and they have the attorneys, they have the insurance, they have everything to protect themselves, but not you and the public, not us, not anybody. They don't care. They roll over in their grave before they even care about protecting you because what is all this stuff? It's manufacturing, research, and synthetic biology where they're collecting everything, all this data, and their impact is hurting civilians on a global scale without any concern, care. It's, hey, it's me or you. It's my money against yours. You have no money. You cannot take us on. It would take you decades for you to even do anything legally. So, and I believe part of that system's starting to fall down.
I mean, I recall from one of Dr. James Giordani's videos where he's stating that a lot of them that have some of this nanotechnology are no longer considered humans, but they're still considered as sentient beings. I mean, they still feel emotion, pain, happiness, joy, laughter, sickness, health. I mean, if you've mutated their DNA so much that they're no longer considered human, what are they? And
Yeah,
then what guidelines do you set forth for them?
absolutely. Real quick, I want to put our t-shirts out there. We have a couple of different designs. This is one particular. It's the Advocacy for Neuro Rights Incorporated t-shirt with the green logo, the earth, which a lot of people like that. I like it personally. But we do have a t-shirt line that's on the website. If you're interested in buying a t-shirt, it would show support and representation of our nonprofit, what we're trying to do. We have many steps to go, a lot of places where we need to get. So in your support, you buying a t-shirt goes towards our operations. However, the company that we use to design a t-shirt and sell it, majority of the money goes to them. We get a little cut, and it's not much, but it does help out a little bit. And we would be very thankful if you were to purchase a t-shirt and tell people about our advocacy, what we're trying to do, and tell them who we are because that's important. And that guys helps us, get more recognition and put information out and grow stronger and get more frameworks and ethics, everything that's necessary for our own potential where we're going. So yeah, that's our t-shirt, one of them, and it's on bonfire.com. I'll put the link to the t-shirts in the video uh, description below, so you'll be able to see it. Um, but yeah, so far we have about 2 more minutes and we have to wrap it up. We don't want to roll over an hour. So our mission, is to help people that have been subjected in a lot of different areas. And, if you believe that you have been experiencing stuff, come talk to us. Let us try to help you see where we can go. Let us give some recommendations or at least try to guide you in some areas. And take notice that we're not a medical or legal nonprofit. We're an advocating nonprofit where we do. I try to help people with the resources and whatnot that we can try to share and give. And, let us try to do a consultation for you because it's going to be important. All right. Marie, do you have any last words?
Yes, if you get an opportunity to donate to the Advocacy for Neuro Rights to help some of these victims, Lewis has actually paid for scans for some of these victims, and this is where we're wanting to go at, is being able to not only have resources, if you have any recommendations for other resources that we might not have to help share with the victims, we would love that as to support as well. And like I said, being able to come up with enough funds that we could help some of the victims that are unable to do certain things or get scanned or verify, you know, we haven't been able to get to where we want to be at right now, but we are getting there. And the resources is the main thing. So, I mean, being able, some of these victims that don't have the funds, don't have some of the evidence or clarification
They
or
don't have
being
the
able to put
necessities
the
that they need.
pieces of their little puzzle together. Right. We
So
want to be
what
able
she
to
means
help
by
them do
scans
that.
is what she means by scans is we try to gather resources and funding for people to get evidence or at least tell them that they at least are suggested or claims of nanotechnologies or big implants, anything, toxins, anything. The claims of this stuff, we try to gathering at least, the fair amount of information that they need to at least tell them what they have so we can prevail and move forward away from that and move on to the next aspect for the client advocacy. So this is Lewis and Marie.
Plus, they could share it with their
Yeah.
family as well,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they can definitely
and
share
that
it with
helps
them.
them out too.
Yeah. Yeah. These
They could
these
share to
claims
the
are
family and say, yeah,
research and
this is
they're
really happening.
yeah. Well, yeah, it can happen for sure. So that's the end of our video. We hope that we shared enough information for you as far as the frameworks, our organization, who we are, and the Secretary Marie, she's great. Including myself, the president and CEO of Advocacy for Civil Rights. And we hope to continue
Which is
on.
amazing.
Yeah, that was great. We love doing it, and we hope to continue on and helping people and going doing all these great things that we get to do through our advocacy and the nonprofit. So we appreciate you, and thanks for watching our video. Take care.